I think for any Marvel fan, if there are any childhood memories, any adulthood memories, just ways that we all kind of lost ourselves in the imagination and the just escape of Marvel movies, Marvel comics, having even, you know, in a fictional setting, heroes, you know, stories that we could relate to, or characters we could admire. There's something special about that that can actually become a part of you, and I think there's something for everybody in the entire pantheon, the total collection of everything Marvel, everything that spawned out of the creativity and the persistence of really quite amazing man, Stan Lee. To come from his background, an immigrant family who came to the United States with pretty much nothing to their name, and to grow up and find his way through life. He served in the United States military in World War II, and came back. And then went on to build a life for himself and his family, and share happiness. I think sometimes with people who we're running a little short on happiness. They always say about books that, you know, they're kind of like books are like a time machine, and special transport that can take you anywhere, far away. Growing up, I had less than a perfect childhood in some ways, and books, I read a lot. They were a great escape for me, and my father actually grew up during the times when Marvel Comics were first being published and becoming popular, and so he had a box. You know, he introduced me to comic books. He had a box of comic books, you know, like original first run Captain America, you know, first run Spider-Man comics, and that was part of my childhood. It was a really great part of my childhood, and through some of the hardships of growing up, you know, a situation that every single day made me question how I was gonna keep going. And as a kid, how do you carry on? Some of you know a bit of that story I've shared on the stream a couple times before. It's not something that's not something I like to talk about very often. I think I've shared it once or twice on stream. Ironically, growing up with was also the one that gave me these comic books. If you've watched my stream for any significant amount of time, you will know that Spider-Man is my favorite Marvel character of all time. And it wasn't until I grew up and became an adult that I realized why. Peter Parker is a complex character. Struggles with the idea of protecting the people and yet standing up to those who would harm the people he loves. That dichotomy that Peter experiences, trying to be strong, trying to be brave, and yet how that can actually attract hurt, can actually attract bad things, opposition, and sometimes tragedy. That balancing act that Peter and Spider-Man had to live through and constantly choose how much to be Peter, how much to just keep his head down versus how much to step up to the plate and fight back. That's what it was like for growing up. I faced that same decision every day. And now as an adult looking back, I realize why I latched on to that character and so much. And even though Stan may not have drawn every frame with his own hand, and he may not have written every line of dialogue with his own hands, he was a leader and he was a visionary, and he's actually largely responsible for encouraging all the creative minds who helped him and those who followed after him in other publishers in DC. He paved the road with his creative vision for heroic characters who were also flawed and tortured and not just perfect. So, because of that vision and leadership, characters like Peter Parker were born. And so today, I have to say thank you, Stan. giving countless people a chance to escape reality for a while. Whether for fun, just because, or whether it's out of a deep need to get away for a while. Yeah. I honestly had no idea that this was gonna. I mean, I fully planned on saying something, but millions of people will remember Dan, or even if they don't really know who he is, something he had a hand in helping create. Today's for you, Stan. Thanks for just being you. Oh, God. Okay. Man. Not see that coming. I guess that's kind of what happens sometimes when you carry it inside and you don't really stop to let it all out. Then I don't know, sometimes it catches you off guard. That's what happened with me now, so woo! I gotta say hi to people. Let's say hi. Random Lunatic, what's up, buddy? In the chat. Blaster, hey, how you doing? Jay Starkfire, how you doing, bro? And Jeffrey, what's up, man? And anyone else watching and lurking or just listening, hello. Hey. And MPW, sorry, I see you too. NPW, how are you, man? Kinda hard to read. My eyes are all blurry for no reason that I... No apparent reason. I have no idea why. It's hard to see right now. Ooh. Alright. Stand a man. Yes. I don't know if you saw a minute ago, Jeffrey. This is my full cam background today. At least today and tomorrow, for the next 24 hours, at minimum. Minimum. So. Yep. What a guy. It's interesting too, after, you know, sharing some of my story growing up, his personal life was not an easy one either. All the way to the end, he had family troubles, and people that treated him as less than human sometimes, even up to his very last days. If you do any sort of research, personal life was not easy. And yet every Comic-Con, every movie premiere, he would show up with a smile on his face, and just as much, if not more, enthusiasm as any fan. He was a fan of his own work. He was a fan of the work that all the creative geniuses around him. There are a lot of other people who followed him as a leader. A lot. The amount of work he actually did with his own two hands in the comic creation was actually, over the years, eventually became just a fraction of the artists and writers and producers and promoters that joined the Marvel adventure. He was a great leader, and his enthusiasm is contagious. It really is. Going up to Comic-Con every time, Excelsior, you know, like, hey, true believers. You know, it's so rare to have someone at the very top be just as much of a fan as any fanboy or fangirl out there. What a cool special thing. Special person. Tristan, hey, how are ya? Good to see you. Woke up this morning and first thing you saw on your phone was a breaking news notification on his death and didn't know what to do. Yeah, anyone who, if you're just joining, feel free to, on the VOD, there's something, really special that I wanted to share with you guys. First part of the stream. I'll clip it as a highlight later because the personal connection and message I wanted to share on this occasion is actually, it goes way deeper for me than I think anyone would guess that anyone would ever know unless I open up and share it. So that's what I wanted to do tonight. And if you are just joining, check it out. I'll make a highlight of it later. If at any point you want to just go back and watch the beginning of the VOD real quick and then come back to the present time, feel free. Feel free. Yeah. So, Jeffrey says, at least the man left peacefully. I agree. He had a lot of hardship in his personal life. Yeah. Unicorn Knight, hello! Welcome. Woo! Jace says, I know it's cliche, but he's not in pain, suffering, or being taken advantage of anymore. And boy, was he taken advantage of, and not even attacked by people he trusted. Sad, really. But, I agree, Jace. To be perfectly honest, there have been days in my own life because of a lot of the position and hurdles that I experience. You know, that thought has crossed my mind too, like, when will I not be in pain, or have life just be hard every day? So I get that. I get that. Had that thought cross my mind more than a few times. So it doesn't seem cliche to me, although I understand how sometimes people say that. In sort of a trivial way, but yeah, Jace, exactly. There were people who tried to control him. Like I say, he was strong to the end. He was strong to the end, man. In some ways, he was a real life superhero. Even just waking up each day to face his own life, and then go above and beyond that, and show up to Comic-Con and smile and be excited for, you know, with everyone he met. I don't know how he did that. Toward the end especially. And when you think about how old he was, you know, he's in his 90s, and he would show up and be one of the most bouncy, energetic people in the place. What an amazing person. So, Jay said Stan Lee probably saved my life through comics. He was my hero, one of them anyway. Yeah, Jeffrey, his energy really was crazy. He was such a just fun person. Holy cow. Unicorn Knight says, honestly, good for Stan Lee. He deserves to finally be at ease. That man worked hard and still was going to conventions at his age. Inspires me a lot. He started from nothing and ended up being a legend. Yeah, he really did start from nothing. His family came over from Europe as immigrants. His parents did. And he lived through the Great Depression. He was born. He was born right before the Great Depression. He was old enough to remember it. He lived through the Great Depression at an age where he was definitely old enough to remember it, old enough for it to impact him. And he came through that, and not only came through it, but decided he wasn't just going to let life control him, that he was going to go and carve out a life for himself. And so much so that he served in World War II. I found a picture I wanted to show you guys. Pull it up real quick. Not everybody knows this. Everybody knows this about him. Oh, this is a good one. Check this out. Look at that. Look how young. Oh my gosh. Yeah, unfortunately, his own daughter was perhaps the greatest challenge in his life for a long, long time. So anyway, look at this. What a handsome guy. Look at that. In the 1940s, serving in the United States military during World War II. Man, that guy's what an amazing life. So many different places he's gone and pretty cool. So yeah, that's a really cool thing about him that not everybody knows. It's a story my dad told me, actually, because my father served. He was in the Navy on an aircraft carrier in World War II in the Pacific Theater. And so my dad, being a Marvel Comics fan growing up, he actually, one of the ways that my father admired Stan Lee was that they both served in World War II. So yeah, so that's something I always thought was really cool. But yeah, you don't really hear about this part in the news and stuff these days. So I wanted to make sure and show you guys this picture and just mention that, you know, kind of talk about it, because he's done a ton of life. He had a very full life.